Just reach into your heart and Allah is always there. You are never alone. You are never alone. Through sorrow and through grief, through happiness and peace, you are never alone.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to a new episode of Family Issues. In the name of Allah, the most compassionate, the most merciful, all praises are due to Allah, the Lord of the universe. Peace, prayers and blessings of Allah are due upon Prophet Muhammad and his family, companions and those who follow him till the day of judgment. Ameen. We are going to resume our series about how to resolve conflicts within the family here in this episode. After Ramadan, we started a series about how to manage and resolve the family conflicts, especially between spouses. We had discussed what Allah has told us in the Holy Quran about how to resolve conflicts within the family and how to take gradual steps in solving the problems. We had discussed in a later episode the best techniques to avoid and resolve conflicts from the perspective of human development specialists. Also, we knew the differences between men and women regarding how they deal with conflicts and how they consider their differences to avoid potentially further conflicts. Afterwards, we discussed the possibility of reaching a dead end, how to end the marriage according to Islamic Sharia. And today we are going to discuss one of the elements that is and will always be a source of conflict, unfortunately, because it shouldn't be. What are women rights in Islam? What are the women rights in the family? Does Islam really deprive women of their own deserved rights, as some allege? Does Islam deny the equal rights between men and women? As a Muslim woman, would you be afraid of expressing your opinions? Should you be afraid? Would you be banned from taking decisions in your life and let the family decide for you? What does it mean that women have a shortage in their minds and religion? Did the Prophet say that for real? What did he mean by that? And why do Orientalists attack Islam, saying that it is a religion that allegedly abuses women's rights as they claim? And more important, as a wife, do you have the right to disagree with your husband? Do you have the right to disobey him? What are the rights of women in the family? We would like to hear from you. If you have any question for us or any comments here in the program, you can call us live on 002 02 38 555 248 or 249. You can also call us online with our Skype account, Huda, HUDA_TV. We can also receive your questions and feedbacks on www.facebook.com/family issues. That's one word, family issues. Again, one word. Our email is familyissues@huda.tv. We are very glad to have with us to proceed our talk here in the series Dr. Mahmoud al-Dinawi, the lecturer of Islamic Studies at Al-Azhar University. Thank you very much, Dr. Dinawi, for being with us. Jazakumullahu khairan. Assalamu alaikum. In the beginning, we want to talk about women's rights in Islam. So what are let me put the question another way. Is there a right that women do not have within the family?
Okay. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله وكفى وسلام على عباد الذين اصطفى ولا سيما نبي الله اصطفى صلى الله عليه وسلم. When we talk about this, is a big issue, as you have just mentioned, and a big debate has been done about it, and always they say Islam is depriving the woman from some of her rights. But in Islam there is nothing called woman's right or men's right. The two sexes have been given equal rights by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because verses of the Quran is very clear. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, مَنْ عَمِلَ صَالِحًا مِنْ ذَكَرٍ أَوْ أُنْثَى, in two verses, in two surahs, in the chapter of An-Nahl and chapter of Ghafir. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala here made the two sides as
and also
equal.
in Ali Imran.
Yeah.
the end of the surah.
Yes, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Jazakallah khairan. Then the last page of the in Al Imran,
Yes.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَاسْتَجَابَ لَهُمْ رَبُّهُمْ أَنِّي لَا أُضِيعُ عَمَلَ عَامِلٍ مِّنكُم مِّن ذَكَرٍ أَوْ أُنثَىٰ بَعْضُكُم مِّن بَعْضٍ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that Allah has responded, so none of your deeds, whether males or females, will be in vain, as long as. So the same obligations are being given to women as men, the same duties. Paradise is being granted to men, the same as being granted to women.
Very clear.
Yeah, but there are some certain points, like some difficult jobs, for example, that do not suit women because of their physical fitness or whatever, so they can't do that. But generally, with regard to the reward that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives, it's equal.
Indeed. Barakallahu feekum. So, again, back to the allegation, the claim that continues by some that Islam allegedly deprives women of their rights. What rights are women deprived of, if you will, if there is such a thing?
Some people, subhanAllah, unfortunately, some people misunderstand. They say that, for example, Islam is imposing a woman to wear something in specific to cover her hair. And this is in all religions. In Christianity, we can see the pictures of Virgin Mary, and she's covering her head. In Judaism, it's the same thing. So they say that this is, for example, is a matter of oppressing her or preventing her from her freedom. And this in all religions. They also claim, when they talk about the issue of inheritance, and they say, but let me remind our respected viewers about the status of women before Islam first. She was deprived of anything, of inheritance. She was not even regarded as a human being.
That's
right?
true.
Some people...
And there's something very important here, is that men in Islam are supposed to spend everything. I mean, they are the ones entitled to, obliged to spend on their wives and their family, and the woman doesn't have to spend a single penny.
That's right. This is her own money. If she was given a share in inheritance, she can keep it. She is not entitled to give anybody to spend on her husband, to spend on her children, because this is the responsibility of man. So here in this point that they attack, it's for the favor of women. It's not against their rights, right? And there are certain issues.
In the West, or in in non-Islamic culture, if the man inherits as much as the woman does, there's no such thing that says that the man has to and is obliged to cover all the needs, and the woman can only do this willingly if she wants. You find both spending.
That's right. The distribution that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made is better than any human beings made. In some Western communities, they say, for example, that the wife will be given half and the man will be given half. In Islam, she is getting more than half. Because if she was a mother, she will have a share. If she is a sister, she will have a share. So at the same time, she can be a mother, a sister, daughter, so she can have loads of shares. And again, the point that you have just raised now, in Islam, she is not obliged to spend a single penny. But in the West, she is taking the responsibility of everything. So...
Indeed. And Dr. Denawi, so should a Muslim woman be afraid of expressing herself, expressing her opinions?
No.
Yeah?
No. This is another allegation that some people say about that. For example, we prevent our women from expressing their thoughts and ideas. But if you go back, and I remember, and the story is authentic, that the Prophet ﷺ, one day he accepted the consultation of our mother, Salama. May Allah be pleased with her. He was going to somewhere, and she said to him, no, I think you should go to this place. And in one of the treaties or one of the battles, and the opinion of Salama was the right one. Right? Some people claim they depend on a weak hadith in Arabic. It says, شَاوِرُهُنَّ وَخَالِفُهُنَّ, just consult them and then do the opposite. That's not a hadith in a way. Right? No, her opinion must be respected. She can express herself freely. If her opinion was right, we can listen to her. If it was not, then,
Right.
Yeah.
And would, again, regarding the same point, I think it's in the culture, in the Eastern culture, Middle Eastern culture, or in the culture of the East, maybe, that women gets deprived of some rights, and that doesn't have to do anything with Islam, right?
Yes.
Because if you will find, for instance, in certain places in Egypt, for instance, or in any other place in the region, that women do not speak up so much for themselves and do not express their opinions as much as they would like to and as much as they should. This has to do with culture. It doesn't have to do with religion,
yes.
right?
Barakallah fiqh, that's right. This is just because this is a tradition or a culture we have. But in Islam, we remember very well that Sayyidina Umar ibn Khattab, may Allah be pleased with him, one day he was giving a speech and a lady stood up and she said to him, "Oh, wait, what you're saying, you're talking about so and so, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying so and so." And Sayyidina Umar, he said, "Oh, Umar is mistaken and the woman is speaking right." So he didn't say to her, "Oh, you have to shut up, you shouldn't speak in front of men, you shouldn't." No, she should. We can't oblige her to accept something against her will. Like in marriage, for example, the father doesn't have the right to force his daughter to marry someone that she doesn't like, because this is her own life anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're back to the point again of a woman expressing herself. She has the absolute right to accept or reject
Yes, that's right.
a potential partner.
Yeah.
Within the family, should decisions be taken by men on behalf of women, or should women be free naturally to decide for themselves on
That's
whichever
right.
subject?
If between the husband and the wife, for example, so it's a joint responsibility. The man can never take decisions himself alone, and he said, "No, she doesn't have good, for example, intellect or mentality or whatever." No, because she might see something better than me, for example, right? So it's a joint responsibility, and she should be consulted. I can't deprive her of her right to speak up or to speak freely, or because this is her life, I am sorry. And when we talk, this might take us away to another point,
Yes.
the issue of learning or seeking knowledge, for example. Seeking knowledge in Islam is upon both men and women. And the hadith says, طَلَبُ الْعِلْمِ فَرْضٌ عَلَى كُلِّ مُسْلِمٍ. And some people said also it's for a female Muslim, it's only males. Right? Because Sayyidah Aisha, may Allah be pleased with her, she had her own circle for knowledge, and she was teaching people and all these things.
Right.
Yeah.
And what did the Prophet ﷺ mean that women have shortage in their minds and religion? I mean, did he really say that? And what did he mean by it?
Oh,
نقصت
yeah.
عقل ودين.
That's right. Some people, unfortunately, they misunderstand this, but the interpreters or collectors of hadith said that's by saying, for example, they lack some religion. They say during the monthly period she doesn't pray and these things. But again, back. A lady, for example, she was asking the Prophet ﷺ, she said, "O Messenger of Allah, men, they are going for jihad, they are fighting, they are doing all these things, and pay money and give for sadaqah. So what about us? What about our reward?"
Yes.
He said to her, "If you can take care of your family, if you can take care of your husband, your children, then you will have the same reward as men." Right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So did he say that? Is that an authentic hadith?
I'm not sure about whether this hadith is authentic. Is authentic or not. But I read it many times.
Right.
Yeah.
But it is being misused by
That's
men,
right.
by
Yeah.
some. I mean, some Muslim men do abuse this with their wives.
A lot. They are unaware about. I'll tell you something very important. You know, where the Quran was kept? Our constitution, the book of Muslims. It was kept where? It was in the house of Hafsa. It was in the house of a woman. Hafsa, the daughter of Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu, she was the guardian over the Holy Quran, our main book. So what does this mean? This means that Islam gave a great and a prestigious position to the woman. There were hundreds of outstanding companions at this time, but the Quran was kept in her home.
It's amazing, subhanallah.
Yeah.
And again, do wives have the right to disagree with their husbands? I mean, naturally, this happens a lot.
Yeah,
so I mean, but to what extent, should the disagreement
disagreement that shouldn't, for example, lead to problems or debates or arguments, fighting, and then at the end they go to the court and then she or he will ask for divorce. No, because naturally, if we have even twins, right, they can never have the same opinion. So she might disagree with her husband. Her husband might be, for example, in need for her consultation, need for opinion. It doesn't mean that, for example, if my wife, I'll tell you something. Yesterday we had an argument. I had an argument with my wife. She disagreed with me, and I told her, okay, you can disagree with me, but it doesn't mean that we hate each other. You have the right to agree or disagree, and I have the right to agree or disagree with you. So, and at the end, well, alhamdulillah, everything goes very well, and there is no problem at all. But we need just to understand what does mean the word disagreement. I don't need to use power or, for example, beat my wife because she disagrees or say, how dare you? How can you do that?
Dr. Dinawi, allow us to take in Sister Rashda from India via Skype. Assalamu alaikum, Sister Rashda. Thank you for calling us. Go ahead.
Sister. I want to discuss a problem regarding the family issue of my friend. His husband is very abusive and he's very sometimes he's very abusive. Like he uses very rash words, and also he's very destructive. Like he's throwing things. And she has 2 daughters, and yes. She doesn't know what to do, how to deal with his husband, his anger, how to deal with his anger. And when he is angry, those 2 children are also watching, but he cannot control his anger. So my friend is she needs some advice. So can you please advise?
Sure. Thank you very much, Sister Rashida from India, calling us via Skype. Dr. Dinawi, you heard the question. I believe it's very common. I mean, wives complaining from their husband's temperament, from the fact that he is not able to control his anger, from the shouting, from the words that he utters, maybe the things he breaks at home. And Sister Rashida is saying that her friend is worried not only because this is happening, but because it's happening in front of her children. Yes. And she has 2 daughters. So what would be the advice in this case to the woman, to the wife, and to the husband himself?
SubhanAllah, if the husband, for example, just reads a few verses of the Quran, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, وَالْكَاظِمِينَ الْغَيْظَ وَالْعَافِينَ عَنِ النَّاسِ, those who can control themselves, those who can control their anger, because the husband should always be rational person, wise, especially because I always say that the husband is the leader of, or the captain of the ship. So if the captain, he knows how to sail very well, the whole ship will run smoothly and everything will be good. But if he's not like that, just let me remind myself and viewers of the story of the Prophet ﷺ. One day, one of his wives, I think she brought him honey or whatever, and Sayyidah Aisha, she just found the pot and she kicked the pot and it was broken.
Yes.
What should the Prophet do here? Should he shout? Should he beat Sayyidah Aisha? No, he can never do that. He said just, your mother, Lady Aisha, she just felt jealous. That's it. So subhanAllah, he managed the whole situation in a very good, in a very nice way, without shouting, without talking badly. For example, some men, unfortunately, they say to their wives, oh, you are the son of so and your mother is so and this is haram, because subhanAllah, you have taken her from your home according to the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So your wife, she is not responsible for your financial status. She is not responsible for your mistakes in your work. She is not responsible for your bad temper, for example. But you are responsible for her. You take care of her. You treat her fairly, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَعَاشِرُهُنَّ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ فَإِنْ كَرِهْتُمُهُنَّ فَعَسَىٰ أَن تَكْرَهُوا شَيْئًا وَيَجْعَلَ اللَّهُ فِيهِ خَيْرًا كَثِيرًا. Treat with them in a nice way. If you hate something in them, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave you something else.
What about an advice for the wife
The wife,
in this case?
if she can be patient, right? Inshallah, she will be given a great reward by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And she should do her best to know what areas make the husband angry. If, for example, talking about money, about expenses, make him angry, so she should avoid this area in a way.
Right.
Yeah.
And the children, I mean, how would they be hurt?
But really, I advise parents, if they have any problem, this should never be discussed in front of the children. They should go to their own bedroom, lock the door very well, and then they can speak. But children shouldn't see their parents are fighting, are disagreeing, are debating loudly, because this is not the healthy environment in which children can be brought up.
Right.
Yeah.
And now we talked before about whether a wife has the right to disagree with her husband. Naturally, the answer is yes. What about disobeying him? And again, this happens a lot. It would naturally happen.
Yeah.
So I guess it's only normal. But again, to what extent? I mean, what is it that you can,
She shouldn't anyway disobey her husband, because the Prophet ﷺ said that the best woman is the one, when you look at her, she pleases you. When you are away from her, she just protects your honor. And when you give her an order, she obeys you. As long as the order is not to disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it is in her ability, she is able to do that, so she should never disobey her husband. As long as he is good to her and he is doing his best and whatever. But initially, she is not supposed to be disobedient. Or we will go back to the issue of the shoes that we discussed before here in this program anyway.
Right.
But
it wouldn't be considered disobeyment if the husband asks for a cup of tea, for instance.
No, of course
and she doesn't do it because she's tired, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
that's right.
Yeah.
Anyway, the wife will be rewarded by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for doing home things like cooking, whatever. But again, and I think this is going to create a big problem to me, she is not obliged to cook for her husband, right? She is not obliged to clean the home, right? But this is just a favor she is making, and the husband should always remember that she should be thanked, and he should always appreciate what she is doing for the home. But he didn't bring her from her family's home to serve him. No.
Subhanallah.
And I think some scholars, not one scholar, I remember that the Grand Mufti of Egypt and some other scholars said that the husband should kindly pay something like pocket money for his wife, because she's cooking, she's cleaning, she's doing all these things.
Right.
Yeah.
It comes naturally, I guess, because the man is responsible for for covering all the needs in all cases. So according to the Quran, the Sunnah, and the righteous Salaf, what is the right of mothers, wives, daughters, sisters, citizens of the Islamic state as working women or social workers or learning students? Let's start by the mother. And subhanAllah, the first thing that comes to mind is the Prophet ﷺ's hadith when he said, Ummuk thumma ummuk thumma ummuk thumma.
Right. Yeah. As for the issue of mother, when a man came to the Prophet ﷺ, he said, "O Messenger of Allah, which person should I keep company or should be close to him?" He said to him, "Your mother." The companion said, "And who is next?" And then the Prophet said, "Your mother." And then your mother 3 times. And at the end, he says, "Your father." Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala repeated the great commandment about the woman in different surahs. In the chapter of Al-Ankabut, the spider. In the chapter of Luqman. In the chapter of Al-Ahqaf. Allah says,
So why those who attack Islam wouldn't say here that men are being disadvantaged through this hadith? I mean, they could claim this or allege this via this hadith, because I mean, everybody has a mother. So and if she's supposed to be the closest person to you, or the person that you would best treat, then that means that women are taking more rights than men.
Yeah. Subhanallah, and those who are talking about this, they are not aware, they are unaware about that there is a big surah in the Quran, a complete chapter dedicated mainly for a lady, Maryam.
Yes.
Peace be upon her, right? So
and there's Surah An-Nisa.
Yes, a huge chapter. Jazakallah
There is no Surah Al-Rijal. There is no Surah of Rijal.
There is no surah, there is no chapter for men. There is a huge surah totally dedicated for a lot of issues that relate to women. Subhanallah. So how can we accuse Islam after that of being unfair or being, for example, depriving the woman or...
Subhanallah.
You were talking about, about the mother.
Yes.
And so here in another hadith, a man came to the Prophet and he said, "Oh Messenger, just give me the chance to go for jihad." Right? He said, "Do you have a father and mother?" The man said, "Yes." Then the Prophet, "Go and be under this service and this kind of jihad." In another hadith, he said, "Ilzam qadamayha fathamma al-jannah." Be close to her feet because paradise is there, right?
Subhanallah.
Subhanallah, yeah.
The wives. We talked about the wives, the rights of the wives, but can you expand on?
Wives again. I love this hadith very, very much. It's one of the, we could say, like a constitution or a big guideline that we can rely on when the Prophet ﷺ says, "The best of you is the best to his wives, the best to his family, and I am the best to my family." We have to just have a look at how the Prophet ﷺ was dealing with Sayyidah Aisha. You know, one time he was just racing with her, and one time she won, and another time he won, and he said this for that, right? So look how he's dealing here, subhanallah, and right. So she should be treated fairly, nicely, gently, and we should also consider her nature. For example, during the monthly period, the woman might not be in the right mood, or as we say. So the husband has to be careful about this point, and he shouldn't make her angry. He shouldn't this is, subhanAllah, this is her mentality. I can't ask her to do something beyond her ability, for example.
You're right, subhanAllah. Dr. Dinawi, dear brothers and sisters, allow us to take a short break here. When we come back, we'll be discussing more about women's rights in Islam. Please do stay with us. Do not go away. Assalamu alaikum.
Alone, you are never alone.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala choose whom He wills subhanahu wa ta'ala for His mercy, for His messengership, for the revelation to be revealed. This is not for the human beings to make that decision. If a person would turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sincerely, truthfully, asking for forgiveness, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promised to forgive. We have as Muslims a duty, and that is to recite the book of Allah, to ponder over the verses, the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and to act according to the Quran. The mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala encompasses everything, but who would this mercy will be for? And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was sent to all mankind. So the ummah, or the people of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, are all mankind since the time of the Prophet ﷺ till the day of judgment. Why waste our life without getting to know every verse in the Quran, what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from us?
Why righteous companions? It is Islam that given us the sense of dignity. I love all of them in a way that you cannot imagine. That Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anh would say something and the Quran would come down matching what he said. والسابقون الأولون من المهاجرين والأنصار والذين اتبعوهم بإحسان رضي الله عنهم ورضوا عنه. Just compare what you did for Islam with just one of them.
Whenever
alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome back. You're still watching Family Issues, talking about women's rights in Islam, in the company of Dr. Mahmoud Ad-Dinawi, lecturer of Islamic Studies, Azhar University. Dr. Ad-Dinawi, just before the break, we talked about rights of mothers and wives. What about the rights of daughters?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Daughters also have a great right. They have the right, first of all, to be brought up in a good environment, in the healthy environment, and she should be given also a good name. They can never be deprived of their right to seek knowledge, of learning, because the hadith we mentioned before, that seeking knowledge is obligatory on men and women. And some people nowadays, they say, oh, the woman, she doesn't have the right to seek knowledge or to get learning. And this is wrong, because Sayyidah Aisha radiallahu anha, she was giving. And if we just check the prophetic traditions, we will find a lot of traditions reported by Sayyidah Aisha, reported by Lady Salama, reported by Sayyidah Juwayriyah, and loads of hadith are reported by ladies. This means that they were seeking knowledge. This means that we can never deprive them to go to universities, to go to colleges, right? Because if the woman is highly educated, surely this will affect and will reflect the children. So the children also will be like scholars, like be, right? So, the worst thing that happens in some cultures and communities, subhanAllah, that some people, especially fathers, they prefer males to females, right? So if he has a son, he comes to him and he hugs him, kisses him, and so on. But if he has a daughter, no, he doesn't carry her, he doesn't kiss her, and this is wrong, because the Prophet ﷺ, he warned us against that. He said that all of them should be treated equally. There is no difference. If you have some children, males and females, you should give all of them the same thing. This, even in the issue of love. And also, and I have seen this in my eyes in some communities, that if a person has a son and a daughter, so the daughter should always be in the service of the son. And this is wrong. He tells her, okay, you have to bring some water for your brother. You have to bring him, no, tell him to go to the kitchen to bring water, right? The same as his sister in a way. He doesn't have any privilege, he doesn't have any advantage over her, because both of them are our own sons and daughters in a way.
Indeed.
Yeah.
So you just talked also about the rights as sisters. What other right does a sister have upon her brother, for instance? I mean, naturally, you'd find a brother protective of his sister, you'd find him caring for her, you'd find him sometimes sacrificing for her, but
yeah.
so all of this is asked by Islam, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Anyway, we are. Look, there's a hadith says that the one who is, subhanallah, who is killed to protect his family, to protect his wife, to protect his sister, then he will die as shaheed, as a martyr.
Subhanallah.
So if you are just defending her, defending your sister, your wife, your daughter, and someone unfortunately died for the sake of protection or to protect them, then he is dying on the state of being martyr.
Subhanallah. Dr. Dinawi, we have now with us Sister Zahra from the KSA, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Assalamu alaikum, Sister Zahra. She's talking to us through Skype. Go ahead, please.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
I just wanted to know about the rights of the wife in Islam. Like, what are exactly rights?
The wife?
Because I have seen that in most of the societies, the rights of the woman or the wife in general is not very much emphasized.
Right. So you want more emphasis on the rights of wives in Islam?
Yes. What rights she has over her husband, over her family. Because we all are taught about the rights of the husband.
Right. Right, you are. And we'll be hearing Dr. Dinawi responding now. Thank you very much, Sister Zahra, from the KSA for calling us via Skype. Now,
Yeah.
indeed, a wife has rights concerning regarding her husband, maybe
Yeah.
regarding her husband's family as well,
Yeah.
maybe regarding her sons. I mean, if she has children, maybe regarding her own family once she became a wife and she left this family and joined the family of her husband. So can we expand on
Sure,
that and
sure.
put an emphasis on it, just like
she has
Sister
more rights.
Zahra asked?
The most important right, for example, first of all, is that he has to take care of her. He shouldn't insult her. Unfortunately, you might find some people, and this is, I don't know where this conception came from. Some people feel shy when they mention their wives' names, right? And we are not aware that the Prophet, one day he was asked, which of your wives is most beloved to you? He said, Aisha, right? And then of men, he said, her father. So here, the Prophet is telling the community in front of him that his wife is called so and so. I know that some people, when they come home, the first thing he says in Arabic, Ya walad, you there. No, you have to just call her by her name. If she is called Fatima, Amina, whatever her name is, Umayma, right? But you shouldn't just say, you there. What does this mean? You have to respect her, right? In front of people. When you acknowledge her services, her duties, all these things, you will lose nothing if you say, oh, alhamdulillah, my wife is nice, may Allah bless her, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala admit her to paradise, she is doing a lot, she is very kind to me, she is taking care of myself.
Allows Dr. Danawi to complete the answer to Sister Zahra's question after we listen to another caller. Thank you very much, Sister Shahira from Kuwait, calling us. Go ahead. Assalamu alaikum. Go ahead.
Alaikum salam, brother. I am a daughter. I experienced this one. Yes, I experienced this one that my father leave us, but without any obligation. He never give us anything. It seems like ordinary for most of the Muslim men leaving their families like nothing. It's not giving any compensation or not giving any obligation. It look like very bad in the eyes of the other religion, especially in the country of the Philippines.
Right. Would you like to tell us more? So Dr. Danawi would respond fully, but we understand what you're talking about.
Yes. Yes. What is the right of the daughter or the children if we are pursuing for our the obligation for their father? My father leave us when we are small, and I am the breadwinner in the family.
Mm-hmm. May Allah support you.
And after that,
yes,
He never brought us anything. He never give us anything, and He leave us nothing. Also, He married again. He abandoned us totally, and it's 10 times he go to Hajj. But I'm really upset about the attitude of most of the Muslim men. Most actually in the Philippines. In the Philippines, they are just leaving the wife like that, abandoning, and there is no ummah or anything who will advising for them, or even the Sharia. They are not chasing for the fathers to make obligation for the kids.
Sister Shahira, you'll be hearing the answer from Dr. Danawi, but I mean, you don't have to be a scholar to respond and say that what your father did is definitely un-Islamic. Thank you very much, and please listen to Dr. Danawi. I mean, we understand that a husband is responsible for compensating, for covering the needs, all the needs of his wife and his children. And other than that, that's un-Islamic.
Yes. Someone, as the sister mentioned, they just care about themselves. He might go, for example, for the Hajj once, twice, 3 times, more than that, and he neglects his family. And he doesn't know the hadith of the Prophet says, كَفَى بِالْمَرْءِ إِثْمًا أَنْ يُضِيعَ مَنْ يَعُولُ. It's a big sin for the person to neglect his family.
Sin, yeah.
Right.
It's
enough. It's enough for him. Just this sin is enough for him when he neglects. And there is another
So that's
sin,
the biggest sin, yeah.
Another hadith in the Prophet, he says, every one of you is responsible. All of you are responsible, and everybody, he will be asked about his responsibility. أَلَا كُلُّكُمْ رَاعٍ وَكُلُّكُمْ مَسْئُولٌ عَنْ رَعِيَّتِهِ. So he will be asked.
And there's also a hadith that says in a context like there is no money spent better than the money spent on your family.
Yes, on your family, that's right. SubhanAllah, when Islam, this very great religion, the greatest religion, says to you that even if you put a piece of food, a morsel in your wife's mouth, you are rewarded. When you are fulfilling your sexual desire with your wife, you are rewarded. Right? Back to the story that the sister mentioned. One day a man came to Umar ibn Khattab, may Allah be pleased with him, and he was complaining about the disobedience of his son. And the Caliph Umar, he brought the son. He asked him, what's your name? He said, oh, my name is something like Scarab. And he said, how about your mother? He said, my mother is a Magian, a person who worships fire. And he said to him, okay, has your father ever taught you the Quran? The son said, no, he has never done that. So Sayyidina Umar brought the father, and he said, you must be disciplined, you must be punished, because you were disobedient to your son before he disobeyed you. You didn't teach him the Quran, you chose a bad mother for him, you chose a bad name for him. So these are the rights for sons and daughters, given good names, given education, given money, and the father.
So what do you say to the men? I mean, those men who take it really easy. I mean, just getting married once, twice, and not spending on their children, not spending on their wives, whether current or ex wives.
It's a big responsibility, dear brother. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to question those people, because if we go back to the verse in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when he talks about marriage, he says, وَأَخَذْنَ مِنْكُمْ مِيثَاقًا غَلِيظًا. It is a very solemn, a very sacred covenant between you and your wife. And the children you have, you are responsible before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for them, responsible to provide them with protection, to provide them with education, provide them with being a real father, a real example for them. They always, children, we know very well that they imitate their parents. So if the father is pious, then he is going to be pious. As we know the Arabic proverb which says, وَيَنْشَأُ نَاشِئُ الْفِتْيَانِ مِنَّا عَلَى مَا كَانَ عَوَدَهُ أَبُوهُ, right? So the son is going to be reared, raised up according to what his father used to do. So if the father is righteous, definitely sons and daughters will be righteous as well.
Indeed.
So I mean, husbands should fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the responsibility they have. Fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and their wives. The Prophet ﷺ, before he passes away, he said, Allah, Allah and your wives. Fear Allah and your wives. Be kind to them. Be good to them.
And I mean, it was interesting that the sister who called us from Kuwait, she talked about the Philippines, and she said this happens a lot. It does happen, of course, also across the board in many Muslim countries. It is unfortunate also, I think, Dr. Dinawi, that many Muslims are giving a bad example and actually are not just not doing good to themselves, but they're also not doing good to the religion. So what's the potential punishment here by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in these cases? I mean, this is these are people who are distorting the image of religion via their practices, and behavior.
SubhanAllah, the Muslim always should remember that he is giving a good example to Islam. He is giving a good image to Islam. We might see that some people are beating their wives in public, for example, or speaking badly to them, or using strong language or whatever, but Islamically this is not the case. Islamically the person should do his best to please his wife in all fields, emotionally, financially, and doing all these things, because she is a kind of a trust. she's a kind of amana that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave to him. And that's why, subhanAllah, sometimes some wives go astray from the family's atmosphere because the husband is responsible himself because of his behavior. Because sometimes, let me say something, if the husband is not talking badly, sorry, is talking nicely, gently to his wife, so the first person she meets, and there are many evildoers, they are just trying to find a chance to come closer to a woman by using smooth words, nice words, then the husband here, there is a big problem. His wife might leave him and go to another one who speaks nicely to her. So why, akhi, shouldn't you just speak gently, speak nice words, even if you lie to her? Even if, let us say, she doesn't look very nice, for example. Just say to her, oh, mashallah, you are the most beautiful woman I have ever seen. Try to bring her. I'm quite sure that a lot of husbands know not a lot about flowers, right? Roses. How about if you just do it once a year? Bring a bucket of flowers to your wife and say, okay, this is a good occasion, and she will be happy with very, very little thing. Right?
Anything that differentiates between the rights of men and women as citizens in an Islamic state?
No. As citizens, she has the full rights, and he has the full rights. She must be protected, he must be protected. And again, subhanAllah, as we said, but there are some points in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in the chapter of Al-Imran, He says, وَلَيْسَ الذَّكَرُ كَالْأُنْثَى. Right? Men are, for example, there are some specific jobs that men can do and women can't do. There are some jobs that, and vice versa, right? But for the
generally speaking, rights and duties are
are equal in a way.
Are equal.
Right, yeah.
And we talked about the why Islam made the share of women one half of what men take when it comes to inheritance issues, and we explained that it's because the man is the one responsible for spending each and every penny. The woman doesn't have to spend anything.
We need to focus on this area very much because people are taking it as a point of attacking Islam. But we have to make it clear. We are totally different from other religions. In the West, the woman, she takes the half, but she is responsible for everything. In Islam, she doesn't, but she is responsible for nothing. The money is mainly hers. She can keep it, put it in a bank, put it in any place, but she is not entitled to spend on the children and so on.
First male caller, I believe, in this episode, and his brother Imran from Saudi Arabia. Assalamu alaikum, brother Imran. Thank you for calling us. Go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum, brother. My question is, my sister-in-law, she recently got married about a month and a half ago. And she was poorly treated by her husband in the sense that, her husband and his family, in the sense that after she got married, his parents complained of her behaving in a negative way with them, although this was not true. And they sent her back home, and she was living with her family. And without informing her, they filed for divorce. And now she's sitting at home. My question is that she's obviously depressed about this, but as we understand that there's a 3-month period of waiting before the divorce is finalized. So is she allowed to go outside her home and work and find a job so she can keep herself busy?
All right. Thank you very much, Brother Imran. And sorry for the unfortunate events. Dr. Dinem.
Unfortunately. Yes, if, and in this period, because this is called period in a way, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, but I don't know whether, has she been divorced or not yet?
No, as I understood that they have filed there is filing for divorce.
Yeah,
but
so
he's just asking if she has the right to leave home and to seek a job.
Yeah, she can go out because the issue of the other issue is if a woman, for example, her husband dies, right? She should stay for 4 months and 10 days, as the Quran says in the chapter of Al-Baqarah, right? She can't go out, but here in this case, legally she is still a wife, right? And she hasn't been divorced yet. Even if divorce has taken place, right? Then she is free and she is not entitled, for example, to...
and she would be in all cases free to go out
she can go
and seek a job. And
seek a job, and yes, there is no problem at all. Yeah. But,
working women, Working women. Any specific rights for working women? I guess as a working man, you would have to respect your partner, your working woman partner, right? I mean, you have to treat her as a sister in Islam, right?
That's right, yeah. Many people, scholars said if there's a work for women, it shouldn't be a mixed. Women should work in a factory that's totally run and controlled by women, for example. She shouldn't mingle with men, because if she mingles, then there's a source of evil here, or mischief might take place.
What if this is a school, for instance, and there are, for instance, 20, 30 female teachers and just 2 or 3 male teachers? Would that be considered mingling?
No, I don't think so, anyway. But in such cases, she will take her rights in full, the same as men. And because in educational places, there are loads of people, lots of students, unless there's a private room.
There are definitely jobs that are more suited to Muslim women there than others. We'd assume, Dr. Dinawi, thank you very much for your time. Thank you, dear brothers and sisters, for watching us. Thanks for all of those who called us from India, from Kuwait, from Saudi Arabia. We had 3 female callers and 1 male caller in this episode. Barakallahu feekum, Dr. Dinawi, jazakumullahu khairan. On behalf of you, we thank very much Dr. Mahmoud al-Dinawi, the lecturer of Islamic Studies at Al-Azhar University. Looking forward to see you again soon, inshallah. And looking forward to see you, dear brothers and sisters, in upcoming episodes of Family Issues, inshallah. Until we meet again. Assalamu alaikum.
Never alone, you are never alone. Through sorrow and through grief, through happiness and peace, you are never alone. So now, as you long for your past, prepare for your future, but knowing nothing's gonna last. You see, this life is but a road, a straight and narrow path to our final abode. So travel well, O Muslim, and paradise will be your home. And always remember that you are never alone.